absolutely insane how much work that you've put into doing the hard stuff. And when people see it's the hard stuff, they automatically think, oh, I need to spend ages in the gym. I need to eat less carbs, eat less this, without realizing the hardest stuff is actually what lies in between our two ears. And
it is everything. It's not just I love the gym. That's only like a small snippet of it, isn't it? It's the whole. I look at it as a you are maintaining garden. You're creating this beautiful garden, and as part of that, you have your obligations every day to water, to maintain it, to fertilize it. That's your internal workings. That's how paying attention to what's actually going on in the inside, what's between your ears, but also in your emotions and in your belief systems as well. All of that, and then outside is just a reflection of what's going on inside of you. So yeah, it's been a journey and a half. I'm always on the journey, but I do love the journey as well, because there's been good points and there's been, I haven't even noticed how much resilience that I've built. It's only recently I'm going, God damn, you've been through a lot.
And that's the beauty of it all. And you have the proof to fall back on now. And I continue to have this conversation with so many of the other girls in our team, because it's almost like, but you have the proof that when you set your mind to something, you can achieve it. In this moment, it might feel like other things are taking the priority, and you need to now it's almost like we're always juggling balls. Some of them are glass balls that we need to look after. Others, we might need to let them bounce a little because they're the rubber balls. But we need to lay faith that when we have the capacity to pick up these balls again, we know how to juggle. We know how to juggle the 6 balls. It's just right now, we can't do that. But this is a podcast. Hello, everyone listening in. This is a podcast with one of my amazing ladies on the team. This is Sharon. She did a podcast with me in the past, 183, if you listen to that. But I'm going to get her to just give a quick introduction about where you first started training with me, the challenges you were facing, because you first started with just the nutrition element because of all the health issues that you had, which we already spoke about were mainly due to the stress that she was having upon her. And we had to do quite a lot of restriction within her diet to get her to a place where we can start including more things into her diet, start eating a lot more food. And man, we built up her calories quite a damn lot. And it's only recently we pulled them back a little bit more. And no, she didn't gain an obtuse amount of fat in the period of time that we bumped up her calories an extra 400. No, because it doesn't work that way. You don't stay in your calorie deficit, and you don't stay in your restriction or elimination diet either. That's not the point of an elimination diet. But yeah, so just give any new listeners a little bit about where you first started training with me. What was your mindset like when it came to food, exercise, body image at that time, and also when you realized that things really did need to change?
Okay, all right. So hello, everyone. I'm Sharon Richards. I've been with Ruby now, how long? Many years. Many years. And I absolutely love what the service that you provide and what you bring to the table. It's been mind-blowing and mind-changing for me. A little bit about me. So when I first reached out to you, I had some really, significant issues with my health. I was dealing with a lot of gut issues, but also my stress levels were through the roof. I think I shared with you, I would be so exhausted from a lack of food because I couldn't actually eat food. I was, I was on various diets, and one was the GAP diet to try and help me to sort of get rid of the pain that I was going through. So when it came to my holidays, I'd spend a lot of time on the bed. Or, just lounging at home. I couldn't move. I couldn't, I didn't have any zest for life. And my mindset was pretty rotten, actually, to be honest with you. I was so critical of myself. I couldn't sort of get anywhere in life. I'd just come out of a really really horrible situation with a relationship that I think just propelled the stress levels in me. And prior to that, I don't think I've shared with you, but it was probably about 7 or 8 years ago that I had adrenal exhaustion, and I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder. So I have the thyroid condition that goes with it as well. I was actually living with my mum for 3 or 4 years to get my health back on track. So my stress levels were already compounded through trauma that's happened in my life. As I've been piecing the little jigsaw puzzles together, I'm having quite an understanding of how trauma that stores in the body. And when we don't realise, or we don't allow it to be processed, it can be quite detrimental to your health. So over time, all these other little stresses and normal people might be able to handle, for me it just compounded over time until I had another sort of setback. And that's when I came to you, diagnosed with SIBO, had been to all these different doctors and naturopaths, paid an absolute fortune to get all these gut analysis done. I thought I was pretty healthy at the time, because I know I said to you, no, you just need the nutrition side of things, because I had a personal trainer and I've been training with my trainer for quite some time. But as I got into the nutrition side of things, this just isn't going to work. And it was actually, at that time, I was looking for answers because I just hadn't pieced all the puzzles together for me. And my mindset, my health, I couldn't eat food. It was just getting worse. It was just going downhill from there. It was actually one of the girls that is Jodie, who's part of the group, that I saw in the gym, and I was actually really inspired by her. I just, wow, this woman is really kicking ass in the gym, and, look at the muscle she's got on her. And I'm like, that's what I want. And that's when I reached out to you. And I know we had a conversation and I wasn't ready to join online yet, but it had been ticking in the background for quite some time. So it's when I sort of got my head straight, or that's it, I reached out again. And from there, we have been working, as I said, a lot to do with mindset, which has been so beneficial. It's something that is missing in a lot of the fitness industry. With all the personal trainers that I've been with, and that was the key element that was really missing. So working on that, working on my gut and getting my body to be able to digest food. I don't have any restrictions anymore except for gluten, because I am gluten intolerant. I love how I can eat food now, and I can eat a variety of food, but I'm also cautious about it.
Oh no, I have 2 things to say. The first thing to say is she eats ice cream and protein pancakes for dessert. Yes,
and dark chocolate every night.
And dark chocolate every night. These were things from a diet that was so minimal that I needed to put her on to get the inflammation out of her system, because her everything was inflamed from stress. We had to remove that in order to allow her to focus on the stress, the energy, doing the things we needed to do to move her forward to get to this place where she can now incorporate all these foods. But I wanted to pay more credit to you here, because you mentioned the mindset part. I do that with everyone. I am a mindset and health first coach, because without your mindset and health there, the rest isn't going to stick. It just
Absolutely.
isn't going to stick. You can force anything for any period of time. People have done, there were before and afters. Wherever you look, you can look online and you can find over 1 million before and afters. If you try to follow up those people, tell me how many of them are thriving in life, who learnt all the foundations, who are able to just be resilient. And I'm talking about women here. How about the ones who do those transformations and are now, like Sharon, going through the craziness of perimenopause? And I'm going to get her to share a perimenopause journey, because I feel like it is the most enlightening thing for so many of you. I am beyond amazed at this woman. She is amazing at how she's trooping through, but that's because of the work we did before. Yes, we did before, but it's her work. She actually did the work. And so many people shove it off because it's not tangible enough. It's not fast enough. It's not getting her results now. But no, she didn't care about that because she had enough of the pain that she was going through. Like sometimes you need to hit rock bottom to know that you need to work your way out of it. And if your holidays are spent lying on a couch, is that a life worth living? If you're always finding yourself back at square one, is that really the outcome you are looking for? Are those results even worth it if you're always back at square one? No. But Sharon did the work. And I'm giving her so much credit to doing this mindset work because that isn't something I can do. I can only provide the tools and the support, but I can't make you do shit. I can only ask you the questions to make you realize that this is something that needs to be addressed and looked into. And she did that. And now, like we have both said a million times, her resilience right now, through the roof. And it's impacted her work. And by that, I mean, she now has the confidence that she never had before. This is the part that I'm most impressed with. Like, holy shit, Sharon, come on. Like, this woman who spent her days on a couch, not able to stand up to anyone in her work, not able to face any type of speaking publicly, doing it as a living. She is running her own business now. Like, yes. Who is this woman? Anyway, back to your story. I just wanted to give so much credit to you there. Like, amazing.
Oh, thank you, Ruby. You are my biggest cheerleader, honestly, you are.
I love seeing you speak to people and just see her job is her passion, and I've seen her take it from just mentioning like cards and feeling in tune with this one thing that gave her so much fulfillment and just peace within herself to now take it to a business. It's just amazing.
Thank you. And I love that work. You know, I think I had to go through a lot of the journey myself, like do the work on myself. And one of the things that I'm aware of is, you know, as we use this analogy of the garden, you know, my very being is my garden, and I have to tend to it every day. I have to water it, I have to fertilize it, I have to, you know, lovingly care for it. And I guess for quite some time with the mindset, you know, it's we do the practices, but we don't actually embody what that, you know, really embody within ourselves the transformation and the change, and asking those hard questions of ourselves. And they're freaking hard questions, you know, like some of the belief systems that I've come up, and some of the, you know, even the, I guess the grief that I've come up through that process has been profound. And a lot of people, you know, when it comes to uncomfortable feelings, want to move away from it. It's like, oh, that hurts. We want to move away from it. But you have to lean into it. You really do have to lean into it, because it's a part of you that needs that healing, and, you know, and it's part of you tending to that garden very, very lovingly. But yes, I would be the last person you would ever say that would be up in on a platform in front of a crowd doing the work that I'm really passionate about, as well as studying NLP coaching, which is the mindset that I want to, and the transformational work that I actually want to bring into my business model now. So I have, in the last 2 years, I've been working away part-time at this, getting up on stage, doing my mediumship, spiritual work that I do, that I love doing, and I love connecting with people. The work on myself has actually only helped me to stand up in, you know, in that space, to be seen, to be recognized, to actually just do it with, you know, such zeal and with such passion. But also, you know, that understanding what NLP has taught me is actually understanding the deeper causes, the deeper stuff that's underneath the surface. And I have taken to that like duck to water. I love understanding things about the mind, the psychology, how we operate, why we, you know, why we're made up the way that we are, where our belief systems come from, why, you know, I'm always asked, I'm curious by nature. I have to ask the deeper questions, and the more deeper I go, the more that I've just become quite resilient. And I know that you wanted me to talk about my perimenopausal journey, which has been quite an interesting ride, and I'm happy to share about that as well, because we're just constantly, life throws us all these challenges, and instead of looking at why me, say, yes, me. Yes, me, because that's how you build your resilience, isn't it? It's the only way.
It really is. And perimenopause can be such a challenging time for so many women. But something that I've learned in my own studies is that the more that you've been through in terms of trauma, in terms of childhood, like struggles in like just your upbringing, all of that stuff impact how perimenopause throws balls at you. And you have like, there are certain subtypes of people that are highly sensitive people. They're very sensitive to people's emotions, or empaths, as you might call them. They also experience the symptoms of perimenopause so much more as well. But that aside, doing all of this mindset work that Sharon's been able to do in going through this, it's brought her kind of out of body to reflect on it so much more. But it's not only our work together, though I do want you to talk about that part of it as well, but also how we approach that periodized nutrition and focusing on strength, how that changed your relationship with food, with training, and your body. Because people don't realize, which we spoke about on the podcast with Amanda Thebe, who that was a whole menopausal episode, but the two times in life when eating disorders and body image dysmorphia and all that kind of stuff are at their peak, number one is in puberty, and the second puberty kind of thing is perimenopause. No one talks, but those are the two times when these things exacerbate. But through doing periodized nutrition, through focusing on strength and the work that we did there, plus the mindset work that you've went deeper into, how has that now helped with dealing with the perimenopause? And also, what are things that you've noticed and struggled with in this period of time, and how have you handled them?
Okay, so I guess I've noticed changes going on in not only mentally, emotionally, but also in my body as well. So as I'm going through, to start off with, I know that this feeling of not actually liking the person that you see in the mirror, you're always picking on little bits and pieces of yourself. And I guess as you're getting older, that outside validation is something that has to change. And I've noticed that's changed within me. I'm more focused on how I feel on the inside these days. And I feel that radiates out. But as I'm going through a lot of the symptoms, because I've been experiencing a lot of different symptoms and hadn't quite pieced it together as far as perimenopause was concerned. Like the sleeping was one thing. If I'm not sleeping, I'm just a total wreck the next day. So the sleeping was one of them. I also have a lot of it's like cramping and menstrual sort of, it's happening all at different times, and, the cycles are not regular, but also there's a little bit of bloating that goes with it. But through the training that I do and putting the hard work and the hard effort, I've noticed that I'm not, I've kept my weight, I've kept my physique and my size all the way through that. I may, there's maybe a little bit of bloating every now and then, but I've actually gained a lot more muscles, and I actually like having muscles, believe it or not.
There was something you said in there where you started this whole thing saying you didn't like the person you saw in the mirror. And I know that so many people can relate with that, and they start getting very uncomfortable with this bloating feeling. Oh my God, I'm putting in so much, like gaining all this fat in my stomach, blah, blah, blah. But that doesn't have to be the case. It wasn't with Sharon. And here she is. I am like, nah, I don't want to see 32 written down, and I'm talking in kilos. I don't want to see 32 on that training log now. I want to see 35. And what does she do? She picks up the 35s and in each hand. 35 kilo dumbbells in each hand for her dumbbell RDLs.
I love being strong.
That's the thing. Like this work, focusing on performance, strength, mindset, it allows you to have something to go for during this hard period of time, but not like it allows you to work past these feelings in the mirror. But the thing is, these feelings are real. And they're with us every day, because we're only in the gym for that 1 hour and a few days a week. And something to keep in mind is Sharon also had many weeks not stepping foot in the gym. A lot of people would derail. They'd say, this isn't for me, I'm out, this isn't my time, I'll come back later, I'll deal with this later. But no, how did you handle all of that and not liking the person you saw in the mirror? How did you handle the bloat? How did you handle all of this?
The bloat is a necessary part of life. And I remember you explaining, you know, the uterus from a golf ball to an avocado, but that's not my body. That's just this part of my, you know, this is just part of my anatomy that it has its good days and it's not so good days because it's going through some challenges. So, you know, that's life, but it's how you feel. Like, you know, I know that we can work together and we can work around things. If I can't go to the gym, then I can do something else. If I have to give my body you know, physically a rest, then I give it a rest, because that's part of, you know, honoring myself and honoring, you know, my body in the recuperation and the recovery phase, because I know that when I step back in there, I will be stronger than I was before, because you know, I love it. I love working out, and I love when I get in there and you know, people look at me and they think, oh yeah, right, whatever. And I go and pick up these 30, 35 dumbbells doing my RDLs, or, you know, like, I love pushing heavy weights. But then there's some days where I go in there and I go, I don't have it in me today. And that's fine. You know, like, it's just, some days you just have to take a bit of a step back. It's not letting go. It's not, you know, like, I don't know, you know, that feeling of failure. I don't have that feeling of failure anymore. It's just like, it's just not today. So I'll do that little bit of 1% just to keep, you know, like, my body active. Or if it's that I need to go walking, then I'll go and do some walking. But there's not too many days that I'll go into the gym and go, oh, you know, I can't do this today. I'll just lighten the load, or I'll choose to do something else that is more recuperating and more recovery, because I do love, you know, the stretching that you know, some of the routines you give me around stretching, and that's, you know, really beneficial. I think as your body's going through a lot of these changes, that sort of is more important for me, to get my body moving, and, you know, just getting that mobility back in, because I have had quite a lot of problems with my hip. And as I've just discovered, I now know why I've got problems with my hip and my groin area, because I've got a hernia. So we have to work around that one as well. So.
And then if we rewind, a lot of the hip issues, where they stemmed from, she was in a moon boot for almost 2 years. Yeah. When you're in a moon boot, trying to live life, a busy woman trying to live life in a moon boot, trying to still be active and give herself the exercise and movement, all of that stuff that she needs, while still going to work, walking to work, all that kind of stuff. There are compensations the body does. Her hips were part of that. We got a lot of hip issues from the fact that she had a moon boot on. And then that led to everything else. Like, one thing led to another, and this woman just troops through. And it's because she gives herself grace, because she leans back on the proof that when she sets her mind to something, she can do it. When she sets her mind to, I'm picking up those damn 35s, she did it. She can go back to that proof that she did it. She might not be able to do it for a couple of weeks, but she knows that, give herself a couple of weeks to build herself up specifically to that movement again, and she's going to be repping them out again. It's just literally as simple as that. When you have a plan that facilitates you, but when you allow yourself to thrive, and shifting the meaning of progress, talk on that. Because honestly, people still see body movement, scale movement as the only meaning of progress.
Oh, it's not. It definitely isn't. You know, and I think when you see when you start to pay notice to yourself, and you see the resilience that you've built up over time, and, you know, like, you're actually seeing that, you know, I'm seeing the changes in my mindset. I am seeing the changes in my body as well. Even though, you know, as I said, some days I can't go in there. I can't, you know, whip my myself and give it 110% all the time. I can't. But all those times where I go in there and I'll do, like maybe a smaller workout, or I might do something a little bit lighter, or I might do mobility. They're all adding into that bank, aren't they? You're building up that bank, and that power back. I like it is like you're building that resilience. You're building that power within you, because it makes you feel better. It just flows in all areas of your life. It's how your relationships start to flow. It's how, and I went through this at work as well, where I had a lot of difficult relationships, but a lot of that was my mindset as well, and how I was interacting with others. And now that I've changed a lot of that, my relationships are starting to feel a lot more at ease now. I've worked through some of those hard issues, and noticing where I have been the person that's been playing, what my part of it is. So the more that I work on myself, the more that I just, all areas of my life start to flourish. It's really beautiful. And taking time to recognize that, I think, because some people, and I know I was like this, it's like you just focus on going forward. You're always focusing on the next best thing, the next best thing, the next best thing. And you don't, just to stand still and to take those times, part of the practices that you've given us is the wins and the reflection, like do that. Because when you start to do that, you actually realize, oh yeah, quite a bit. I am noticing quite a lot of changes, or, there's just something that I was feeling a lot more like this. I used to have a lot more down times, and now I don't. I'm actually picking myself up a lot more quicker. Life will always throw these challenges at you, but it's how you handle them. And I know that I handle them in a much better mindset, because I feel like I've got my practices in place. I've got my roots very grounded in now, and I'm about preserving myself, preserving the quality of life, and being the best version of myself. And I know that, working out actually helps me in that space, because I apply that to what's going on in my life. That, when you're lifting the bar, when you're lifting heavy things, I always say, it's not going to be easy, but you just got to give it everything you got. And then some days you go, well, there's some days I can't lift that heavy, but I might go down a little bit lighter, a little bit, in weights and that sort of thing. But it doesn't matter. I says, I'm still there. I'm still at it. I'm still, I'm still working through that challenge. And that's my best for today. And that's still building that power back within myself. So, and what was the other question you asked, Rube?
I actually just loved everything that you said there.
Oh.
Wait, there was something you said there. And with all these growth elements, we see our bodies as the only things of progress. We are more than our bodies. It's almost like we're trying to make our bodies some majestic masterpiece, that it's all we end up focusing on, that we forget the fact that we're here to live a life that allows us to feel good within ourselves. And it's the way that we make life our masterpiece. It's the way that we allow ourselves to feel good within ourselves and connect to others, connect to just ourselves, that show the body that everyone's been wanting to seek. Because you can have the best physique and hate the body you're in, because it has nothing to do with the physique. Like, there are people on stage that have the best bodies that I'm friends with many of them, and the amount of hate they have for their bodies, when they are people's body goals, like, people do not realize that shit. But something you said there, in how this journey has shaped the way you approach other areas of your life. Tell us more about how this journey in total has allowed other areas of your life to flow. And yeah, actually that. And then I have another question.
Okay. Well, I've been one of those people that have stood on stage. So I know when I was 45, I did a fitness competition, and I trained my butt off. And it was one of the hardest things I ever did, but I did not. I wasn't in a good space mentally to do it. I'd just come out of chronic fatigue after, I think it was 3 years, because I wanted to do that. That was something I always wanted to do. When I got up there was no appreciation of it. See, now I have such an appreciation of all the practices, including going to the gym, working out, my nutrition, all of that, I have an appreciation of that, and I have appreciation of myself. Do I want to stand on stage again? No. But I do like to have I know that you and I will probably work on in somewhere in the future where I'd like to do a photo shoot or something like that, just to honor me and, where I am, and to actually have that radiate out of me to say, I really love who I am. I love this body. I love this life. You are right when you say that you are more than just going to the gym. You are more than just your mindset. It's one of the things that I do in my work, and I see this a lot, is about appreciating all aspects of your life. You're creating the most beautiful memories here in life. That's your connection not only with yourself, with your family, with, people that you love and adore. It's how you get your message across, how you radiate within yourself, and how you help others and lift others up. It's how you walk and act in life. Now, you want to come from, for me, I know this, is that I want to be someone that uplifts and inspires people. In order to do that, I actually have to practice what I preach, and I have to work on that part of me that gets to a space where I actually appreciate who I am. I appreciate all that I've been through, because it's helped me to be the best version of myself, and I will continually be the best version myself to be able to inspire others, on their transformational journey, whether it's, just having a talk to someone, whether they come through in the coaching element or whether I see them in the gym. You can inspire people in all walks of life, really. And I love it when I go to the gym and I see a lot of the people that are just starting out. And I remember when I first started out, it's like you feel like you're a strange person in this strange land, and like, what's the first thing you do? Whereas I feel like I walk in there, it's like I own it now. Like I go in there, it's my home away from home. But it's not everything, because there are other elements that I do. Every Sunday I go for a walk in nature. I love it. And I love talking to people along the journey, when they're walking in nature as well. It's just something about people being outside. They're just so bright and happy and joyful. I love, going to my favourite coffee shop and being on first name basis with everyone around there as well, and talking about, our daily lives and our daily habits, or, just generally, uplifting one another. I know that as well, with the work that I'm getting into, I'm meeting the most beautiful people, and that really lifts me up as well. So I've also got my own family that are going through their issues, and they reach out for me for a little bit of a chat now, which is uncalled for. So now I feel like I can inspire family members who are going through challenging times or periods to leap, to work on themselves, to be the best version of themselves, maybe get back into the gym, because I'm always on to them about walking or doing something.
It's actually really funny, because I'm doing a lot more reading these days, and I'm reading a lot into improving relationships, and every single relationships isn't like communications, not like romantic relationships, but like improving relationships. And it's funny how every single one of those books, it starts off with most of the book being about yourself. Because
it is
just like you heard with Sharon, finally having connections with these people in her family in ways that she's never had them before. It's the same that I'm reading in these books. Like, all of these connections that you're able to foster, thrive in life, and actually start being at the level that Sharon's at, that all starts with yourself and the relationship with yourself and your ability to even freaking listen to yourself. No one listens to themselves. And just like she said, with pausing and realizing she was one of those beginners once, I never even stopped to realize that for myself, to be honest. When I see these people, I never stopped to think, I was that person, and now look at me.
Yes.
Because if you actually compare yourself to where you were once before in the gym timidly to where you are now, and even the weights, if you start comparing the weights you used to lift, and just if you think back to then, you've come really damn far, every single one of you. But there was one more thing that you said a while back that I forgot to touch on that I loved, because I actually wrote this part down because I love it. when she put down her training and then picked it back up again, instead of saying that it's a failure, blah, blah, blah. It's just like putting something down for a while and then picking it back up. It's not about throwing it down into the Grand Canyon and losing it. Like, you have the ability to pick things up and put things down the longer that you've been doing this for. Like, when you're new, putting things down, the wind could easily wash it away. Yes, okay, because it hasn't been established as your identity, as your habit. But the longer that you go through this the right way, the easier it is to then pick that thing up without it going too far downstream. Because the current is always going to be going. The longer that you leave it stagnant, the further downstream you're going to have to pick it up from and then bring it back. But that stream, the longer that you've been living life doing the things, that stream goes slower and slower by the month, by the year, to the point where when you put it down, it's not going to go too far away. But yes, it is a really fast river race. I just thought of this analogy now, so thank you. I love that analogy. Like, that is such a good analogy if you think about that in terms of muscle gain, in terms of nutrition habits. You just need to put in the damn freaking hard work at first, up front, to get to a place where that river can finally get to a place that it isn't rushing and gushing and you're losing things the moment that you put them down or pick them up, or the moment that the weekend comes, you've lost all the habits and you're starting over every Monday or every single New Year's. Like, you can be that person. You're not stuck. You're choosing to stay there. Sit with that question then. How do you and did you manage the mental aspect of slow progress or setbacks, especially at first if we go back to there, because we weren't able to focus on making these massive progress things because we had a health phase to start with. But funnily enough, in this health phase, Sharon became a third of her size. And by that, I mean she lost a lot.
Did too.
A lot. She forgets about it because it was that far away, but we didn't focus on fat loss. We didn't focus on calorie deficit. She had a meal plan that was really strict to follow because of the issues that she had with her gut. But to be honest, back then, most of what I did was, here's a nutrition template, follow it. But it made things so simple for many of the women that I work with, to the point where now they know how to make their macros work for them. And that's why I will always recommend to have a nutrition template that you stick to for a few months, to learn how your body feels when you're eating in that way, to learn how to fill up your plate, because then you can play with macros. But yes, back to the question, how did you manage the mental aspect of slow progress or setbacks? And to add on to that, what advice would you give women who are afraid of eating more, building muscle, or stepping away from the chronic chase of dieting?
So for the first question, I think anything that's worthwhile is worth maintaining and nurturing. I don't believe in just throwing things away for the sake of it because it doesn't work. And I'm talking about yourself and your mindset. So just because I've come up with some health issues, and I know that we work through these, I don't have this mindset of, oh, that's it, I've had enough, I'll just come back to it later on. I don't have it in me. I may have done in the past, but that's not who I am now, because I am worth working on. And if it means that my body says to me, and I know that, you know, we're going to go through some more health challenges coming up, it's like, I will just keep focusing and keep pouring into me so that I can continue on and pick up when I can pick up. And I know that I will have things to work on outside of the gym, because I am more than just being that person in the gym. I am outside of the gym. My who I am and how I shine is in all areas of life. And just because one is not, one thing that I love doing, that I'm passionate about, I can't do, there are so many other things that I can do as well. But also I have the foundations in place now. So working with you, with the nutrition, with the, some of the things that just keep the lights on for the time being, like my walking or my stretching, or I might just say, can you just give me a body workout? So I might do some push-ups or something like that, which is something that you gave me, just do that. you know, like I will work around them. I will do something to nurture that part of me within me, so that when I'm ready to step back in there, I can step back in there. But I think, as you said, you've got to have that, you've got to build that momentum. And when you've built that momentum, you don't want to let it go. So you may just need to, you know, pause, sit back, do the healing side of things, make sure that your recovery, you know, you're doing the right things for recovering your body, because you're doing it because you love your body, you love, you know, who you are, and you're, you know, you're trying to be the best version of yourself. So respecting that space, you know, that transitional space, then you can come back in and then pick it up again. And it's not difficult, it's not hard, because that's part of your DNA, it's part of your makeup. I will always train. I will never not train. And that's, you know, that's what I love about who I am now, you know.
Who I am. Can we appreciate this identity thing? Because this identity thing is even huge in killing off behaviors that you don't want. There is a difference between saying I'm not the person who drinks versus I can't have a drink. Saying I don't drink versus I can't drink tonight, I'm on a diet. Oh, I don't drink. There is a difference between owning that identity. I don't know why I came to drinking, but it's usually the thing that people usually struggle with. But owning that identity is the biggest thing. And Sharon is someone who lives it. And yes, there are still moments, which is why I said the fear of eating more. There are still moments where you can have a little sting, because we increased her calories at one point at the start of this year, and she had a little sting from it. But like, that didn't last very long. We went over that little bump, and then here we are with all the carbs. And what did she say to me? Oh, I'm loving how my body feels with these carbs. I'm feeling good. Nothing happened. She didn't balloon overnight. Tell me about that, and advice that you have for people, because we're still in that place now where she's having the carbs that we bumped them up from the start of the year.
You know, Ruby, just on reflection, before I started with you, the amount of yo-yo dieting that I did, and I would eat healthy foods, but I would have no idea about calories, and I was eating high fat foods and that sort of thing, and I just kept ballooning out, and, you know, my body would go in and out. I can show you pictures of me when I was, you know, really big, to when I was tiny, to when I was really big. I've always been like that, and it's been something in my family that I've noticed, that there's a lot of people that they tend to do the same. Since I've been with you, I've been able to maintain that size. Like, I'm happy with who I am, and I've not, you know, that I may put on a bit around my tummy because I'm bloating, but I've been able to maintain now for about good 4 or 5 years. Like, woo!
No, because that just made me so emotional, because it's like that's the thing, when you've been through so much before of the yo-yo dieting, when you're just sick of that cycle, you appreciate this phase of your life. You appreciate this other side when you finally make it to the light at the end of the tunnel, to the place where you finally live in Narnia versus the horrid land outside. Like, she is in Narnia now, and she's thriving, and she's in this place where a little bloat doesn't hurt her, because she's not that yo. I did not know that to that extreme before. So I want you to talk more about that, and maybe this can be the resounding message that we like spend a good chunk of the end of this podcast talking about, because that's honestly, let's be honest, that's the reality of most people. Like, so many people have weight loss transformations, many weight loss transformations of themselves. Where's the maintenance?
Well, exactly. Where is the maintenance? And to be able to maintain that maintenance, like, as you said, you've given me like that framework to start off with, and that's sort of embedded in my mind, you know, over time, that there was a structure, and I guess that's how I work. I like a structure. I like that sort of plan. And then now, because I have these macros, it's like it's ingrained in me. Everywhere I go, I've got to have I do have my scales, and my dad says, you know, did you measure that ice cream tonight? That looks like a little bit more than what...
Oh, your dad.
Good on you, Dad. But I can have dark chocolate. I can have my light ice cream and pancakes. I love what I eat. You know, it's nothing flashy, but I love a variety. But I love the veggies that I have. You know, in most of my meals, I know what to eat, and I know how my body responds to how I eat. And I know that if I go off plan, you know, if I, and I don't normally do this, but if I was away on holidays and that sort of thing, even though I went on that boat trip for a week, and it was like, oh my God, it was smorgasbord, all you can eat. And, you know, like I'm still posting photos, I was still choosing the best options for me at that time. But there was no way in the world was I afraid, you know, that I was going to put on weight or anything like that. I just made sure that I chose the healthier options. I lived life because I was with my mother on the boat cruise. So occasionally I would have, you know, like a nice sweet or something like that. But I didn't, you know, it wasn't an all or nothing mindset. It was, you know, just enjoy life, you know, and that's what I love about how I eat now. I can still go out, but I choose better for me because I just know that it's just so ingrained in me. I don't know anything else, to be honest with you. But I know that yo-yo dieting, for me, I will say this, I had an absolute love and passion of food. I love food, and, you know, I would love going out. I love, you know, creating, you know, different types of the most fattiest foods you could ever, you know, I was a home cook type person. And I use food as an emotional, I know I use food as an emotional sort of replacement, like giving me a bit of a hit that I wasn't getting outside of my life. So when I changed that mindset, when I changed that, how I thought and felt about myself, and especially how I can actually replenish myself instead of using food as a tool, I was using my transformational practices or my somatic practices, or going to, you know, like what I do with the gym or my journaling or something like that. I look for other things now to give me that feed for my soul, and that's helped me through that journey. So now my relationship with food has drastically changed. I'm not looking at it for comfort anymore. I actually feel comfortable within myself, and I think that's the biggest thing. And that has been probably, I think for me it was a challenge, but leaning into those hard emotional places within ourselves that we don't want to go into is really, really important, to be able to transform those, you know, to come to those loving parts of us. And then you find that things will start to change and shift within your being, so that you're not using food as that tool or that mechanism. Now, what was the other thing, Rubs, that you said that you wanted me to chat on about?
You did both in one, which is what I loved. But I'm going to restate the question again in a different way, because this brings up another little element that I want you to help others with. And it was because of the yo-yo dieting before, and because of the fact that I bumped up your carbs and you had that sting from it, like stopping people from the chronic dieting. But it was the fact that we learnt how to do nutrition.
We did.
That came over this. We learned how to do it. This is why meal plans don't do it alone, and doing coaching for yourself in other areas. You know yourself that coaching is where transformation happens. It's not in programs. It's not in diets. It's not in downloading in your work. It's not downloading the next, here are 5 steps to happiness. Here are 5 steps to know your intuition. No, it's in the coaching work, because every human's different, and no one's going to do the homework in a way that facilitates them without a coach, for the fact that we only see ourselves by the ingredients we've already run in our life, by our history. We don't see things outside of our box, and it takes that outside lens, that reflection, those questions, the outside support to move you forward. It's why athletes have coaches for years and years into their sport, because when things change inside of you, everything around you changes. And this whole time, if you've noticed, Sharon has not mentioned the scale. We haven't focused on, I tried to get her to focus on the body aspects of perimenopause to help you, but she didn't give a shit about focusing on that. And this is actually the magic. She didn't focus on like when I mentioned you didn't like the person you saw in the mirror. She didn't even go into depth there, because that's why she is where she is now. That's why she's thriving, because she addressed everything around her in terms of how can she fill into her life? How can she do self-coaching? How can she make other elements of her life her masterpiece? And that in turn has allowed her to be in this place where she's just content, thriving. Her body hasn't ballooned out. Like you heard, we've one-thirded her size over this period of time, and she's maintained it the whole time. She's getting stronger. She's building more muscle, because you actually pointed it out in yourself when you did one of the hip thrust videos the other day. She's like, I'm seeing muscles there. And this is the thing, like when things change inside you, they change outside of you. But restating that last question, because I feel like it will be a really key question to tie this podcast up. So give us the best you got, being probably one of the last questions. What would you tell someone who was in the same position when you first started, afraid of eating more, afraid of changing the way they do training to build muscle, and stepping away from chronic dieting, stepping away from the group classes that gave you a bad shoulder? Because I still remember that. I didn't forget. I don't know whether you...
And a rolled ankle.
And a rolled ankle. So she was like she said, she was doing just nutrition, but then with the trainer, she had a trainer, and then she was doing group classes, and then she came to me from the trainer, who with that and the group classes didn't know how to work around her issues. She had a bad ankle, a bad shoulder, but people are scared to leave the way they did things, to embrace rest, to embrace recovery. So restating the question, what would you tell someone who was in the same position when you first started, afraid of eating more, afraid of trying things differently to build muscle, gain strength, and step away from chronic dieting?
Okay, all right. So what I would say to people is actually get yourself a good coach, because a good coach will help you to see your blind spots. And it's also how you've always done things has only got you to the place that you are. So you need to change your approach. You need to change your direction. You need to change the way that you are going to move forward. For me, I had to let go of a lot of beliefs, or a lot of things that I was holding on to, that I thought I knew how to do it for myself. I know everything, and I did have that mindset. I'll give you that. And I still got some of those elements running inside of me, because I like to be the most knowledgeable person in the room. But you're going to have to let that go. And you have to trust. You have to trust in the coach or the person that you get on board to help you through. But you also have to trust yourself. You have to build that resilience and that trust within yourself, knowing that things that have taken you years to get to this certain space are not going to change overnight. You have to let go of that mindset. And when you mentioned the scales, Ruby, I have not stepped on the scales since I've been with you. Probably when I first started, I used to step on the scales, but I've not stepped on the scales in years. I don't need to. My clothes fit. So get rid of the scales, or get rid of the things that are triggers for you, having this, certain foods in the house, having the scales in the house. Just your mindset, your emotional ability is so important. That is the key area that I will say that you need to work on. You can get to a certain level, but I know through my own journey, for me, the deeper work came when I had people like Dallas on board that helped me to really go into those deeper places within myself. I also had somatic therapy to help with dealing with the trauma that was within my body, and being able to come to peace with all of that, keeping my practices up that I maintain. And I'm really stickler for this now, because I'm such a routine person. As your nighttime, making sure you get your quality sleep, make sure that you're getting your steps in, make sure that that you are giving yourself the best nutrition, the best sort of things in life to be able to help you to become the best version of yourself. And it's going to take time. Habits do not form overnight. You have to maintain them, you have to practice them, and don't try and put everything on all at once. Just little bits Just start off slow. It may be small, significant, little changes that you make along the way, but over time it will just add, it will start this snowball effect, and then over time you will get to, you'll find that you'll actually start to change the way that you think, you feel, your emotions, how much energy you're putting into the gym, how your relationships around you, your quality of life will improve. So you just have to keep going. And those little tidbits that you've given me about your wins, your reflections, what are you focusing on, how do you want to feel, they may sound like they're just little, like yeah, blah, blah, blah. They really do. And I don't think we give ourselves enough, I guess, accolades about how far we've actually come. And when you were talking to me today, when we first did the intro, yes, I've seen how much I've changed, but when someone else, and this is what a good coach will do, is say, actually, have you seen this? Have you seen that? Have you seen this? Have you seen that? Look at all these changes. You go, wow, yeah, I have. I have, so you just need to put yourself first. You need to put yourself first. You can't help anyone else until you put yourself first. And I know that part of my journey was I always put other people first, and now I'm putting me first.
That's the first very thing that I said to you when we started this, and that's the greatest growth that I've noticed just most recently since she's really taken on board this business. She's gone from a little bud to just a blossoming flower, and that wasn't me, that was her. She did that. She put in that work, and she sought out other ways to help improve herself. And this is why I'm such a stickler, that word, for self-development, because it is a fundamental piece of the physical element of this journey.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot appreciate you anymore for coming on and sharing your story. And I hope that this kind of put in a little kick up your bum while we go through this hernia journey and come out the other side ready for a photo shoot, because it is so exciting to see what we can do and get you back to those 35-kilo dumbbells very soon as well.
Yes. And I just want to take the time and appreciate you too, Ruby, because honestly, you are part of my arsenal kit. If it wasn't for you, I probably wouldn't be where I am today. And that is because I have got a good quality coach on my, that's around me, that's supporting me. And you go above and beyond what any other coach would do in this space. So thank you. I really appreciate you.
I'm just going to say that this is probably the best part of my job. I love connecting with my ladies in ways of learning them more. The more that I can learn about them, the better. The more that I can learn about you, the you've been vulnerable with me and had those conversations with me, that I've been able to learn these elements of you and facilitate you through this journey. So even if you're not coaching with me, if you're coaching with someone else, speak of these things, put a lot into your feedback, because there are check-in days for you to write out everything that's on your mind when it's there. And there will come a point in your journey, because this journey is a long one, where you won't have that many things to even put in check-ins anymore. It just becomes a daily process where you're just checking in casually, because you're one in the process. There's just wins to share and growth to share and just the pressing issues to share. And that's when you know you've made it. And there is another side where it's not all about just waiting for the harvest, but taking joy in the garden that you've created.
I like that. Beautiful.
Thank you guys for listening. And if you resonate at all with this, reach out to me, reach out to Sharon. I'm going to have her tagged below as well. And I'll get you to WhatsApp me all of the business stuff as well. So just in case anybody's looking for someone in that that area of expertise to reach out to, I want to have it down in the description below. And it's probably going to be the only thing in the description, because Sharon is your person. And if you want to reach out to her in terms of saying thank you for sharing her story, that you resonated with it, or ask her any questions, she's there as a guiding support. And she's full of magic. She really is. Because you put that magic into the work. And yeah, anyway, I'll leave you guys with that. Please,
I love that.
Please put just 1 minute into rating my podcast 5 stars. I would love to get up to 100 eventually, but let's do mini steps and aim for 75 first. But yes, I appreciate you all and see ya.
Beautiful.